Travis Wingizel. So, if I were not retired from doing videos to warn Mormons of the danger to them by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I would be doing a video about BYU Jerusalem Center. But I'm retired, so I'm not going to cover that video. Instead, we'll give you this video today. The BYU Jerusalem Center is on the Mount of Olives in the northern part. And it looks like that's the road, right below the road. And it's to the northeast of Jerusalem. And of course, the Jews and Christians and Islam all agree that it's the city of David. They're all wrong. Who are you going to believe? Modern tradition from Constantine, or the foremost anthropologist of the ancient Middle East? I told you, Jerusalem's temple was built after David Moses IV visited the hamlet called Salem. But you don't want to believe. And if you're new and you're going, what? Armageddon? David Moses? Exactly. And so it's below the Hebrew University, the Jerusalem University. Hebrew University of Jerusalem is the name given here on Google Maps. And so the location is significant for Mormons because of the Mount of Olives for the latter days. There was Orson Hyde, who went in November 1841, gave the dedicatory prayer to the land of Jerusalem as he recorded it. But he is not Joseph Smith. And so this cannot be canonized in our documents. He did it on his own. Section 28 and 43. He cannot go against that. And so as you read through it, though, you'll see his Christian influence. This file. The BYU Jerusalem Center is for the study of Old and New Testament and ancient and modern Near Eastern studies, and only Hebrew and Arabic, which kind of defeats the purpose. This is misleading, as they should be teaching biblical Hebrew and Greek, no Arabic. Arabic has nothing to do with the Bible. Aramaic, sure, but Hebrew and Arabic. And so they're already misleading those who go there. As I have known Mormons who've said that they've went there for a semester at least. So there's lots of Mormons who go there and potentially learn Hebrew, as they so suppose. And so they may be curious that I'm the foremost anthropologist of the ancient Middle East because I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew. And they hear me and they go, that's not what I was taught. That's not the tradition. No, duh. That's why it needed to be re-deciphered. William Foxwell Albright is wrong. The biblical Hebrew text is wrong. Should have trusted Joseph Smith in the King Follett Discourse. And so they only use for their Old and New Testament lessons the manuals for the Old and New Testament. They don't get special education. In fact, the education they get is Christianized with the Mormon twist. If you're not going to watch my channel, if you're not going to actually study your scriptures, don't blame me for your stupidity. And so, yeah, it's a faulty education, but one that Mormons love to brag about, put it on their resumes. And so, the significance for the latter days only comes from Zechariah. It does not come from Matthew. It does not come from the Joseph Smith Matthew. It does not, well, it does, but not, but does. Section 45, which is the parallel equivalent that Joseph Smith is giving. Section 14 specifically. And as Hamas has attacked Israel with one of the greatest, in sense of largest scale attacks since World War II. And I've even seen 1973 when the last attack against Israel was on Yom Kippur. This one was on the last honorary day of Sukkot. It's technically a separate holy day, but it's the celebration of the end of Sukkot. So it's the same, the 8th day. And yeah, it also has to do symbolically with the Passover of the Exodus. That's why it's also 8 days, because the latter days is supposed to be 8 years. That's the time frame. And so, as I've been going over with you, we're in the latter days. But Mormons don't want to believe because they want to believe in Jesus. They don't want to believe that the Jews could actually prophesy, that the scriptures are actually prophesying of right now. Because the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints hasn't said so. And we start in verse 14 with, Behold, the day of the Lord cometh. That's the day that shall burn as an oven. The abomination of desolation. And thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women raped. Ravished is too nice of a word. And half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Anybody recognize the pattern of that wording? If you're not going to follow my videos, Joseph Smith History 140. Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fought in Armageddon. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is here before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst toward the east and toward the west. Whew. BYU Jerusalem Center was perfectly placed, wasn't it? Wasn't it? See, I used to do the videos talking about, oh no, the Ukrainian temple. Is that going to be the temple in Russia? Is it destroyed? Yep, this is the BYU one, but I'm retired now, so this really isn't a regular video that I used to do when I wasn't retired. And there shall be a great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north. Uh-oh. And half of it toward the south. I hope they made it earthquake proof. Okay. So that's pretty much it, and there's more stuff in there. Living waters shall go forth from Jerusalem. But section 45, Joseph Smith adds some stuff. For example, he's saying, hey Mormons, I'm talking to you. You know that Zechariah guy? He's a Jewish prophet making a Jewish prophecy about the Jewish Christ of the latter days. A man like King David Moses the Fourth. Deuteronomy 18:15 through 19. And then every other Jewish prophet, even the ones in the New Testament. Jesus isn't real? The Christians lied to us? Constantine lied to us? Constantine replaced the Jews? Turned the Jewish scriptures into literal history? That sounds abominable. Joseph Smith History 119. I had a person ask me that. Where in the Joseph Smith papers does it say that the Christians turned the Jewish prophecies into literal history? Seriously? So, since it was a question, he wasn't being mean to me like most Mormons are, I linked him to the Wikipedia page of the Nicene Creed that has both the English and the Greek versions of the first creed of Christianity, and then referenced him to Joseph Smith History, verse 19. And then asked him, are you not Mormon? Did you not go on a mission? And so, in verse 48, the Lord sets his foot upon this mount. But there's a problem here. It's not Jerusalem. Joseph tells us in the beginning, hey Mormons, I'm taking Zechariah and I'm explaining it to you with more accurate prophecy about you guys or rather your descendants in the future. And so the Lord is the Mormon, born and raised in the great and abominable church, who starts his ministry on the 23rd of September 2017 in Utah. Phonetically the same as Judah. That's why Jesus, his mission was only to the Jews of Utah. It's because it was a prophecy. Joseph Smith is telling Mormons all of the Jewish scriptures have to do with the great and abominable church that will usurp Joseph's church after they assassinate him. And so this is not Jesus. What in the hell made you think that the Jews were prophesying about Christianity? Oh, it wasn't Trinitarian Christianity, Travis. It's the real non-Trinitarian Christianity. Really? No. See, the Old Testament was written with the New Testament around the same time period of the Romans. They are all prophecies of the latter days. You will not find a Jewish Aramaic or other language, with clarification as I'm about to get to, hidden somewhere in the ground. But you will find them in the Egyptian records. They're all over the place. If only we had someone who could be a translator like Joseph was of Egyptian. Well, no, Travis, you see, because Egyptologists say that Joseph Smith was wrong. Really? Are you sure you're going to throw Joseph Smith under the bus and just call him a revelator and remove translator? So that you don't be ashamed in front of those who don't know Egyptian, despite their PhD status. Who's the foremost anthropologist of the ancient Middle East and therefore knows the learning of the Egyptians and the language of the Egyptians, having deciphered it from having deciphered Paleo-Hebrew? But Mormons don't believe. They're waiting for Jesus. And here he comes. Hope you're not in the Jerusalem Center. Hey Jews, here I am. Your prophecy is wrong. It's supposed to be interpreted by Christians. How could you make such a stupid mistake? How could you fall for it? Even I was confused as a kid. It made no sense to me. So I put it on my back burner and kept studying what I was figuring out step by step, line upon line, precept upon precept, hoping that one day I'd be able to figure it out as other things got figured out along the way, and then boom, I figured it out. Isn't that how you study? Oh, you just read, pondered, and prayed and got a feeling, and then you think you know it all. And so you don't even bother to listen to me. Because if you did understand, if you did study your scriptures, you'd know who's speaking to you and calling you a dumbass. And so, that's the Mormon human parents. All in accordance with the prophecies of the Jews, not Christian interpretation, which has all the prophecies of the Jews just magically disappear. And so he will utter his voice on YouTube. Verse 49. And Mormons will be laughing at him. They'll be mocking him. They'll be scorning him. They'll be trying to catch him in some kind of sin, like trying to frame him. I noticed those 5 or 6 women are dropping the spiritual manipulation that I mocked them with. They're now saying they were raped by Tim Ballard. Good luck trying to prove that one. Because if it's just he was sexually verbal to you, that's not the same as rape in the law. I hope your lawyer explained that to you, and that you didn't waste your money on a lawyer who's just taking your money knowing that you're not going to win the case because you're just trying to distract from President Ballard, who was caught in a lie. Huh? But somebody's been paying attention to my videos and narking on me. And so, yeah, those Mormons will be cut off. They'll be destroyed in the day that shall burn as an oven. That's what he's talking about here. Hewn down and cast into the fire. And so, yes, what Zechariah is talking about, Joseph Smith says, that's you, Mormon women. But, as we see, it's happening already in Jerusalem now, in Gaza, with the attack. People are being kidnapped. They're going to be raped. They're going to be murdered. Oh, did I see 3,000 or 2,000? Lots of people are already dead. More will come. Hamas was taking hostages. There was a woman who was taken hostage that made the news because somebody was recording it when she was taken. So, it's sad. But this is a stunt. It's all a front and a cover to get all of Christianity thinking this is it. Jesus is coming. This is not gonna be the fulfillment of Christian prophecy, replacement of the Jewish prophecy. That's why this is a setup. It's real. Don't get me wrong there. It's far more real than a WWE performance. People are really, well, they do die on WWE too. Was it Bret the Owen Hart? Or was it Bret the Hart? Hitman Hart? One of them, during the show, came down on the wire down to the stadium, but the wire got what... He fell. Died. And then others have died from body slams and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's not intended to be that real. It's scripted. But, well, maybe this is too. If you see the WWE go and do a WrestleMania event in Jerusalem, you'll know something's up. Let's just put it that way. Like Saudi Arabia. Dear God. And so Joseph also adds, when the Mormons look upon their Christ, not in Jerusalem, in Utah. After the destruction, obviously, because right now they're still laughing, mocking, scorning, looking to find fault And so, yeah, they're going to say, what are these wounds in your hands and your feet? Already happened. Did the video. Showed you the wounds in his hands, and Joseph Smith adds feet. He knew. Zechariah didn't know. Joseph knew. Because of the manner in which he stood on the mount. Notice, he doesn't say which mount. He says this mount. But which mount? And we assume that it's the Mount of Olives. There's the sun shall be darkened, moon turned to blood, stars fall from heaven. Saturday is day number 2 of the sun shall be darkened. The sign of the coming of the Son of Man on the 23rd of September, 2017. It happened. Oh, there's creeping death, overflowing scourge for desolating sickness. Mormons died, and the love of Mormons shall wax cold. And this Salt Lake City temple, which you now see, shall be thrown down, and there shall not be left one stone upon another. What did you think Jesus was talking about? You didn't think he was real, did you? Uh-oh. Oh no, Mormons. Oh no. Nope. Doesn't say Mount of Olives. But there is Mount of Olivette. It's a cemetery right across the street from the University of Utah. My grandpa and grandma Smith, not related. They're from the slave owner Smiths of North Carolina, from where I get my black lineage from West Africa, as Ancestry.com couldn't figure it out for me. Had to go to another one to tell me who it was. Ancestry is a con. They use the church's genealogy records, and so there's errors with it. What are they doing with our DNA then if they're telling us lies? What are they doing? Are they making a pure white master race of Mormons? Are they in the basement of the Salt Lake Temple? So right there, hearken, O ye people of my church, to whom this kingdom has been given. Hear the words that are about to come out of my mouth. And so then, verse 15. He says, hearken, members of my church, and I will reason with you, and I will speak unto you and prophesy, as unto men in days of old. Zechariah. Ta-da! Not literal history, not supposed to be Jerusalem, not supposed to be the Jerusalem temple. Because if you did use their Jewish interpretation goggles, you'd understand that what I'm telling you is correct, that the prophecies have been fulfilled. You are mocking me. You are scorning me. The signs of the heavens have happened and are happening. But you want to believe in Jesus? And so all of that disappears. And so you mock and you scorn. Ta-da! Joseph Smith is so true in the learning of the Jews.